Hello. Morning, morning. I have some fresh peas, like peas in a pot. I've probably eaten like 3 kilos of them over the summer so far. A lot of them. For sure. Today is a React Andying day, which means that we're just gonna watch some videos that we have been sent over in Submit Funny, which I actually think we have quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of yeah, I remember the Saints Row reboot thing, but since then everything else is basically new stuff. So I guess we'll start from this because this looks like genuinely kind of interesting. Like so. Let's wait for some people to drop in so that people who want to see some of these won't miss them. Pretty good piece, if I say so myself. Pretty good. I don't know what kind of snap these are. But they're pretty good. Okay. Here we go. Hello everyone. Let's get to watching some funny and interesting videos. You can send some if you have any that you want. Like it can be like video essays or just like shit memes or something like that. You can send them in Submit Funny, the channel for sending stuff like that. And the first one was sent by Amico, and it is titled, "Why Do We Play Games We Hate?"
France, 1969. A plane is about to take flight, but this isn't just any normal plane. This is the final form of planes, the future of airway travel. This
is a Concorde.
The Concorde.
Oh no!
Engineered and manufactured by the French-owned Sud Aviation and the British Aircraft Corporation. An aircraft that boasts a top speed over twice the speed of sound. This thing can make a flight from London to New York in only 3 hours, a feat that takes most commercial airliners nowadays over 7 hours. And if you're thinking, that's odd, this was over 50 years ago, how is that possible? Then you might have realized that this story does not exactly have a happy ending. The Concorde, a beast as it was, had a beast's appetite. Because of an uncanny fuel consumption, engineering challenges requiring high maintenance costs given that it flies twice the fucking speed of sound, made the upkeep and upfront costs of this thing astronomical. The initial estimates to build and maintain one were already...
It also looks like a mosquito, which is not a good thing.
Already outlandish, but the actual costs were almost laughable at around 6 times the original estimate. And because of this, as you can imagine, trying to sell the Concorde to airlines was like trying to sell cuts of filet mignon to McDonald's. In fact, despite several airlines across the globe initially showing interest in purchasing some, once all was said and done, only Air France and British Airways bought into their lavish invention, insisting that it would in fact be the future of aviation. A grand total of 20 Concordes were built, and it was in service for around 27 years until it was finally retired shortly after a tragic crash in the summer of 2000. Financially, it left both the UK and France astonishingly deep in the hole. The question, of course, is, given its flaws and complete lack of profitability, why did its creators insist on going through with it? As marvelous as it was, once global interest vanished and it became an expensive toy instead of a way to generate massive revenue, instead of cutting their losses and moving on, why spend nearly 30 years trying to redeem
This
this
is
financial
such a
black
fucking
hole?
weird
Actually, speaking of
segue
financial
into the
black holes,
topic.
Here's a better question. Why are you still playing Genshin? Why do we play games that we hate?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you still go catch every new Terra Raid Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet despite actively
You know, that's what I usually think about when I think of planes as well. It's like, you know, why do we play the games that we hate? That's a totally natural segue. Very good.
rating the game on Reddit? Why do we spend 2 hours getting stepped on by Lady Maria, rage quit, decide to start something on our backlog, then go load up Bloodborne again? Why are you texting Destiny 2 again when it keeps leaving you on red? It has always fascinated me how we all seem to have at least one game that we play that we actively despise but simply cannot stop playing. For most of us, this is competitive games because we don't actually hate the game, we hate losing. We hate losing. These games are usually extremely fun in the beginning because we're actively improving. There is a lot to work on and our rising skill is noticeable. But once we iron out all the basics and we're hashing out smaller, more delicate things like when the chance going for a harder combo to finish out a round or sideboarding for a specific card our opponents are playing, we kind of plateau and suddenly improving isn't so easy anymore. When that happens, because critiquing ourselves is much more difficult.
This happens a lot with art stuff as well. It's something that a lot of people get really, really hyped about. But then as soon as they reach a plateau of some kind, usually in like 2 or 3 years, they think that that's the extent of their skill. And then they stop growing and then they start only drawing stuff for Twitter. And then they whine online about how, look at this person and this person, they're so talented, fuck, the talent is like just seeping out of all of their orifices. Someone with like me without any talent, there's nothing I can do about it. It's definitely not a matter of effort. I'm just, you know, God just didn't choose me to do this. Very, very common.
Difficult, we might shift blame onto the mechanics or the connection. And I think this is why some folks spend the second half of their time with the game chasing the feeling they had during their first half. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because it's not just competitive games, baby. It's not even just difficult games. There are people out there that feel this way about titles from every genre. You've read the video title, you know what we're here to discuss. Why is there sometimes such a disparity in what we say and what we do? Now, I've broken up this video into 4 cute little categories, and somehow, hilariously, League of Legends fits into all of them. I'm very happy I don't play this game. So without further ado, let's hit the first category and talk about how the hate makes you stronger. Some games are built to make you hate.
That's not true, Yarsu. That's not true. You get a furniture item from it. So if I clear Savage Criterion, I can put it into my house. There is something that you get from there, okay? And then like when people walk into my house with like their dicks hard, thinking they're hot shit, and then they see that, they're like, oh fuck, and their dicks go limp. They understand that they're not powerful in this house.
At least it might feel that way. Competitive multiplayer games, games with brutal, unforgiving difficulties that bully you and beat you down into submission.
I don't think Hollow Knight was like that brutal. It was actually quite enjoyable. It just sort of reminded me of old Mega Man games because they were, I guess they, by today's standards, they're pretty tough. But I grew up on that shit, so this was really fun. I'm really hoping that Silk Song comes out soon.
The Binding of Isaac, Darkest Dungeon, Overwatch, Street Fighter, Souls games, Fear and Hunger, Magic the Gathering. Just by simply reading these names out loud, someone watching this started sweating. It should go without saying that the pain these games make you feel comes from the fact that at some point, you will do a fair amount of losing in them.
This is gonna sound a little bit pretentious, but Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, for me, they were like relaxing games. They were something that I played to cool down and kind of wind down from the stress of the day, which might sound kind of weird, but because they are sort of execution heavy, I guess, in a sense, they really force your mind out of whatever else you might have been thinking, like work stuff and whatever. Which really helps. Yes, and Frontier is right now my relaxing game, and Frontier is like 5 times harder than any Souls game. Probably a lot more than 5 times. We haven't even got to the hard stuff yet. So yeah.
In fact, there will be play sessions where you probably spend more time losing than you do winning. And in the context of single-player games where you aren't facing a human opponent on equal terms, most people attribute the reason for that loss either to the game or to themselves.
I used to get really angry about games when I was younger. I've actually mentioned this before. Really angry is maybe an overstatement, but I would like get really frustrated about stuff. And then there was like one day that I was visiting one of my friends and we were playing Super Smash Bros. Melee. And I had been practicing on the side because I finally got myself my own GameCube. And I was way better than he was at that point because I was practicing. But he thought that because it's not been that long since we played last time, it wouldn't like make any difference. Oh boy, did it. He did not win a single time. And he got really mad about it. And he ripped the GameCube out of the wall like it was on like a TV stand. And I remember feeling really scared about it. I was like, what the fuck? And I think he realized, like in the moment, like my friend realized that like something kind of was a little bit much, because he like looked at it for a moment and then just looked at me and like was like, oh boy, like that kind of got to me. And from then on, like I've been just like kind of comedically frustrated with shit, but I don't really get like video games don't really get under my skin like that. Frontier is getting to me. Frontier is getting to me a little bit. But Frontier, to be fair, Frontier is a little bit different, I guess. It's a little bit different because it has like this awful juxtaposition of like insanely good game design that feels super satisfying to play with, and then absolutely terrible game design that feels super frustrating to play with. And it's not like the frustrating ones, the terrible ones are like the hard ones. They're just like super annoying because they like just waste your time or something like that. Fucking hate it. That annoys me.
And because of this, you might find yourself in a constant state of shifting blame. Maybe the first few times you die, you blame the game for being unfair, and then you adjust and realize how you should actually handle that situation, which feels spectacular because you've overcome real adversity. But because there is always that struggle state before you fully understand how to handle certain enemies and scenarios, you are constantly re-bombarded with the thought, man, just when I thought I knew what I was doing, Now, of course, when you finally understand that next boss or bit of platforming, you're back to signing autographs and kissing babies, and it's what pushes you to keep playing despite the hell you were raising 5 minutes ago. But games like these, in my opinion, want you to loathe them because that's what gives your victory meaning. They're both rewarding and maddening, but they are addicting because of something called a variable reinforcement schedule, which I've talked about before. This
Should have honestly linked this to Bear when he was I remember the discussion was on Final Fantasy XIV specifically, the Savage and Ultimate rating, and he was like, "Why would I ever do that? Because it's so hard. Like, well, hard is a very powerful word here, but like it's so time consuming and sort of straining that you need to like practice it for like hours and hours to no end." But it's because when you've practiced for something for so long, the satisfaction of succeeding in it is much more nice. Like, and the thing I feel is was the most hypocritical about that statement was the fact that Bear, because I taunted him, he started stubbornly trying to beat fucking Tree Sentinel at the start of Elden Ring. Well, he did have the horse, but he was like absolutely convinced that he's gonna do it, and then he spent an entire stream doing nothing but losing to it. But then after then he like took some time off and did it again, and then he succeeded after a small break from it, and he was really happy about it. And it was really fucking cringe because he was acting like he's hot shit for beating the practice boss of the game. But it's like he fundamentally understands it as well, but for some reason it doesn't apply to Final Fantasy, which I kind of don't get. Even though Final Fantasy is a very different kind of game, I wouldn't necessarily say that the game is difficult. It's more just straining because there's a lot of things that you need to remember in a row, but the fundamental answer to every situation is always the same. So you don't really, it doesn't push you in the same way as, like, for example, fucking Monster Hunter does, or PSO2 does. Well, PSO2 that didn't push you at all unless you were doing like one of 10 quests.
This is how slot machines keep you coming back. They don't reinforce every effort you make. They pay out very sparingly, which in practice is what most brutally difficult games do to the average player. You only win a small fraction of the time, but once you hit the jackpot once, you're hooked, constantly chasing that fleeting glory that you once had before. The difference, of course, is that your skill is the determining factor here and not a random probability, but the fact remains that when you don't just get to win every time, it makes winning mean more and it keeps you coming back for a long time. Which is why Street Fighter has been suckling away at all of my time this summer, and certainly not for any other reasons. And this begs the question, what if we do add that third factor, another human player? Like I said earlier, the plateau exists. Eventually, once you hit a certain skill percentile of the player base, improving your own game doesn't come as quickly or as easily as it once did. And in fact now, to stay competitive, you must confront a big, sweaty, mean, and daunting reality: the meta. If there was a new trick or technique like the Korean backdash in Tekken, wave dashing in Melee, wave control in League, hyper tapping in Tetris...
This is why we're a Jigglypuff main. No need to wave dash when you're a Jigglypuff main. Well, a little bit, but very little.
Actually, just kidding. That's rolling now. Rolling is the new meta. You see how this keeps moving? Bunny hopping in Counter-Strike, handling Oko in Magic the Gathering, other shit you've never heard of but want nothing to do with. You're going to want to have something to do with if you want to win at a high level. Artorias in Dark Souls is the same opponent if you boot up Dark Souls in 2013 or in 2023, but human opponents in Dota 2 in 2013 are a far cry from human opponents in 2023, because humans evolve, adapt, and innovate new ways to exploit games' mechanics, creating an ever-moving standard if you want to remain truly competitive. If you don't and you just want to enjoy playing with friends, that's wonderful, please enjoy yourself. But I think another reason these games provoke so much outward contempt is because you can dump a ton of time into them only to then blink and then realize how much work you still have to do to keep on winning. The metagame can leave you behind, and trying to keep up and learn all the new tech if you aren't a pro can be exhausting. The game you boot up tonight may only be an echo of what it was back when you first fell in love with it. You might spend 100 hours on a shooter, have a blast, take a break, and then spend another 300 trying to recapture the fun you had in the first 100. It's for this reason that I am very much a massive fan of the first year of a fighting game's release. That is when I have the most fun playing them. But eventually, I just have to hang out my boots, because learning all the new tech and relearning my character's best buttons after balance patches is just too much to keep a firm grip on, for me at least. However, for many other folks who adore that game and can't keep up anymore, walking away might be a little less easy, especially since they've spent so much time with it. In short, they are simply... The creators of the Concord were also in too deep. They had invested several years and exorbitant amounts of money to make this project take off, pun very much intended, and when they ultimately landed no buyers, they had two options: cut losses and move on, or double down and try to make this work. You know how that story ends. They fell victim to the sunk cost fallacy, which some of you I'm sure have been thinking about since the video started. In case you don't know what this is, the sunk cost fallacy is a little devil of an error that humans make. It's the tendency for people to stick with a course of action when in reality, giving up on it and accepting the current loss of time and resources would ultimately be best. It's quitting while you're ahead before things get ugly.
I had to learn about this real hard when I was starting to pitch manga to Japan. And ironically, the fact that I was able to give up on stuff improved like my art quality like crazy. For anyone who has read Simmering Variant, the time frame between the second to last comic and the last comic is within that time frame. I did 3 pitches to Japanese publishers, and I got basically fucked in the ass by all of them. And because of that, instead of sort of trying to, like, at first I was like, oh shit, I have this great idea and I want to work on it, and I tried to work on it twice, didn't bear any fruit. So then I did a different idea, didn't bear any fruit either. But during the process of doing those 3 comics, I had to sort of reevaluate how I look at comics in general. And because of not getting stuck on like stubbornly trying to make the first thing work out, I was able to grow a lot as an artist. And because of that, the quality between the comics in Simmering Variant, the last and the second last, is quite big. And now, as I'm currently working on my new comic, you've probably seen some of the pages on the Discord server. It's looking pretty okay. It's looking pretty fucking okay. Like, okay being like very good.
It's driving to Target only for them to be out of Pro controllers, and then on a whim buying a new phone case and a soft pretzel since you already came all this way and spent the gas when you probably should have just saved your money. It's caving on your diet because you've already ruined it by having Popeyes for lunch. May as well go out again for dinner since the day is shot, right? It's continuing to play a game that you hate because at this point you've already sunk 100 hours into it. You've got a rank, rare gear, things you've built, things you're...
Because of this a lesson that I took from manga, I also was very close to quitting Final Fantasy XIV because I wasn't having fun. I was having a terrible time in the game. It took me 8.5 months to... So originally I was thinking that, okay, so there's this fish in the game. I like fishing. I liked fishing. Let's put it in the correct time frame. I liked fishing. And that's what got me into the game. Was just that I really enjoyed the relaxing atmosphere of it and just the idea of collecting things, because I really like collecting things. And I'm not a hoarder. I collect very specific things. But there's this one fish that took me 8.5 months to manage to get. The fishing is a completely RNG based system, so I just got insanely unlucky. I couldn't get it. I had an alarm clock waking me up at 3 to 5 in the morning. I had to get up, fish for it for 30 minutes, then go back to sleep. It was a fucking terrible time. But I was like, this is the last fish. So I should see this to an end, right? I need to finish because I already started and I'm so deep in this. And that was what I was thinking for like the first 4 months or so of failing to get the fish. But after that, it was just sort of slowly starting to sort of drift into, I'm not enjoying myself. Every time I log into this game, all I feel is frustration. Why the fuck should I play this game? So then, luckily enough, as fate would have it, I guess. I don't actually believe in that shit. But anyway, I got into static. And now I can raid, which made the game a lot more fun for me. And now I got the egg. And now I'm also a proud house owner. So, shit kind of worked out. But I was this close to giving up.
You're proud of, things you're not proud of, but quitting now would mean it all goes to waste, right? I use the Concorde as an example because I think it illustrates just how deep-rooted this fallacy really is in our psyches. No matter how big or important a decision, even if it is a several billion-pound endeavor, humans are still fallible to the sunk cost fallacy. Which means you are certainly at risk of falling for it when you're considering quitting a game that you've poured a ton of yourself into. And this is as true for competitive games as it is for really any game you can play. Whether you're chasing nostalgia...
No, Amico, the lesson is that you should give up. If you have wasted a shitload of resources on something and it's just not working out, that means that you have to give up. However, something that's really, really important, something that you really need to understand is just because you give up on approaching something in method A doesn't mean that you have to give up on something completely. Like, for example, with drawing stuff, I have kind of come to understand from reading a lot of manga and from just having personal experience as well with Japanese publishers, for example. They have very, 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 very set mindsets that their companies demand from the editors, where they have to essentially think in a specific manner and only really approve specific kinds of manga, which is a very, very unfortunate thing for an art industry thing to have. But just because that stuff didn't work out very well for me, that doesn't mean that I have to give up on getting comics published in general, right? I don't have to give up on drawing. I just need to approach the thing differently, right? Which is why I have started writing a light novel, which Amico has started reading, which I really, really appreciate. It's very, very nice. And I've started a comic that I'm going to be publishing online eventually in Japanese, so that maybe I can get some Japanese audience, so that I can get some weight behind my name. And from that, sort of slowly progress into a place where I have some say over what I want to draw, maybe, in the future. Because I wouldn't want to draw a comic that I don't feel is my own in the first place. So I'm basically trying to do the same thing that I was doing before. I'm just doing it from a completely different perspective. So just because something defeats you, it doesn't mean that you have to give up on it. It just means that maybe you need to try to figure out a different approach to achieve what you're looking for.
With Pokemon and are trying really hard not to notice its quirks, or just aren't feeling FF16 for whatever reason, you're already 30 hours in. Can you just walk away now? You couldn't walk away from Target. What we don't like to do is admit that our effort has been wasted, and because of this, past a certain point, it's often easier to just stick it out and see a game through to its end instead of putting it out of its misery. even if it's an absolute drag and we still feel like we've wasted our time playing it when we finally do finish it. Now, there's something interesting that I came across when I was researching for this video. A lot of people explain that discrepancy between their disdain for a game and their strangely hefty playtime by saying that if you don't do that, tons of people will hit you with the, well, how can you say you hate it when you haven't even finished it? How can your opinion be valid if you haven't given it a fair shot? Which leads us to... I simultaneously have a fair bit of pity and respect for the folks that go out of their way to finish games simply so that they can say, now that that's done, I can fully articulate why I hate this game. I came across this because I found an old Kotaku article about how a ton of people were requesting refunds for games after playing them for 50 plus hours, which is like calling the waiter over to your table and asking for a refund on your empty plate because your steak dinner...
This is why I started playing Dark Souls. Because people are saying that Dark Souls games are hard. I was like, I don't think they are. So I started playing them. And luckily for me, I actually really, really enjoyed them. Very, very fun. But I wanted to be able to say that I don't think that they're difficult. And now that I've cleared 3 and Elden Ring, I feel like I can say that. Yeah. I actually downloaded it for my Steam Deck a moment ago, and I started playing it, and I was like, fuck, this is shit game.
Wasn't very good.
I haven't
Some
touched
of
it
the comments
since.
are gold, though. I had no clue people did this, but it made me realize that even if I can usually tell very quickly if I'm going to vibe with the game, and in fact I often may be a little too quick to judge, a lot of people do genuinely feel like they can't fully decide how they feel about a title until they're sufficiently nose deep in the sauce. They need to wait and see if the story picks up. They need to know if the combat is surprisingly deep once you get to some of the bigger challenges. They need to discover if they find themselves thinking about the game when they're at work or at school. A lot of people may not know that they hate that game until hour 50, especially if it's a game.
Now, this though, I hear this argument a lot, right? It's very common, especially for like, okay, let's use a very familiar, down-to-earth comment, example. Final Fantasy 14. I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm in the wrong for disliking the fact that I have to sit in the game for 500 hours until I get to play it. Because I think that's a shit way of designing a game. I do think that I understand why they do it. It's because it's a subscription-based game, so they want people to stay there for as long as possible. But the fact that it's a mandatory cutscene fuckfest for the first 500 hours of the game is a fucking nightmare. Same goes with like anime. A lot of people say like, oh fuck, this fucking buttfuck festival 77, fuck, it's the best anime ever, but you have to just get to episode 567. You just have to get to 567, and that's when it picks up. And I'm like, if the fucking anime doesn't pick up until episode 567, it's kind of a shit anime, isn't it? Because assuming the series has like 600 episodes, that means that like less than like 10% is actually enjoyable of the thing. So it's like, yeah, it's like when it comes down to a video game, if it's really good and if it really clicks with you, it should do that like for the first few hours or the first 10 hours that you play the game. Obviously, if you get like a 1 hour dip into a game, you can't really make a judgment. But if you've played a game for 10 hours, that's a lot of time investment for a working person. And if the game can't catch your interest within that time, then it's probably not for you, or then it's just a shit game. It's one of the two. So people who try to argue that you have to play a game for 5,000 hours to get to the good part, so you can't review it as a bad game because you haven't played it for 5,000 hours. People like that are stupid, and they need to go fuck themselves.
or a series that other people are constantly in a hyped up frenzy about. Have you ever been playing something and then said to yourself, what does everyone see in this? Because to me, so far, it's just been fine. There's got to be something I'm missing here, but I don't want anything spoiled, so I'm just gonna keep going. There's this thing called informational influence, and you've certainly felt it plenty of times before. Imagine you're walking through a public place and you see a small crowd of people gazing up at the sky and pointing. They're really baffled about whatever is up there. As you walk by them, what do you do? Probably look up and see what they're looking at, right? I found this clip of these college students doing this, and it's hilarious watching people fight the urge to see what they're missing, but finding out what we're missing is what makes informational influence work. In ambiguous situations, we typically perceive the actions or beliefs of the majority to be an accurate source of knowledge, which has definitely never caused the spread of misinformation before. If you've never played a Zelda game before and this many people think Tears of the Kingdom is fantastic, it can't be bad, right? I think this is another big reason why we often keep playing games that we hate. Socially, we know that many people can't be crazy, right? What do they know that you don't? And so, you keep playing and looking for answers. In some cases it's worth your time, in others it is not. But if you're chasing the same experience everyone else had, and
I, for one, don't really enjoy Zelda games. I've sort of stopped playing after Twilight Princess. Skyward Sword was a complete fucking shit fest. I mean, it's a pretty as fuck game, but like, holy shit, what a shitty, boring game it is. And I haven't really gotten back into Zelda since then, which is, you know, it just do be like that sometimes.
It doesn't quite do for you what you were hoping, then all of that time is regretfully gone, and there's no getting it back. We've talked a lot today about
what is it with by the way, what is it with quote unquote Souls-like games and having a boss that is like a fat person in an armor? Is it because of the Ornstein and Smoke from the first one that like everyone has a fucking fetish for extra thok people in armor? There was like a big thick thok bug in Hollow Knight. There was that guy in there. Like, I guess it's just a thing. I guess so.
What if the game is brilliant? What if you adore that game? You've recommended it to everyone you know. You have a Triforce tattoo. You've named your firstborn child Cornifer, and then one day you notice a flaw. One day you find yourself a little irked by how tedious your 9th playthrough is. One day you realize that you and this game are actually just an... One of my favorite song lyrics of all time comes from an old Rupert Holmes song, Escape, the Pina Colada song. I was tired of my lady, we'd been together too long, like a worn out...
I have a lot of PlayStation 1 games like this.
recording of a favorite...
Well, kind of
song. And I think it's a fantastic line because it perfectly encapsulates, not just in the context of relationships, but in all things in life, how too much of a good thing can sour that thing for you. I had a decent idea of what I was going to write about when I came up with this topic, even before I posted this question for you guys, and you've seen responses to it throughout this video, but something I did not anticipate writing about was comments like this, pointing out that when you play something so long that you become intimate with every little detail of the game, you start noticing cracks, flaws, idiosyncrasies that annoy the hell out of you. Maybe it's that certain attacks on a boss are unavoidable under the right circumstances.
And in anime, you'll start noticing that you're gonna skip specific episodes that you just dislike because you already know what's gonna happen in them. You don't want to see it again. You just skip over them.
Maybe it's that the in-game economy,
like in Death Note, after you skip everything after L dies,
is kind of wonky. Maybe it's that a particular stretch of the game always drags and doesn't really add anything. Maybe it's that there are certain strategies or weapons or cards are just obsolete in the presence of other alternatives and don't really ever contribute to the gameplay. Maybe you should play something else. We've talked about variable reinforcement schedules and sunk cost fallacies and games that make you rage, but somehow This is the one that's the most heartbreaking for me to think about. Because it's not that you keep playing because you think eventually it'll get good, or that you feel like you're in too deep to cut your losses, or that the hatred makes winning mean more. It's not really hatred at all. It's just something beautiful, slowly wilting. It's the realization that something you love so deeply is flawed, and that you'll never get to have that magical first playthrough again. Is it better to leave the game once you're done and move on to something else so that you can remember it fondly? Or to...
No. What you need to do is accept the fact that everything created by humans is always fundamentally flawed one way or another. You just have to deal with it and make personal connections where you can. Just because something is flawed doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. I fucking love PSO2 so incredibly much, but what a fucking shit show of a game it is.
to indulge yourself with the experience over and over until you're absolutely sick of it. Which I think weaves nicely into the last thing I want to talk about today. What we take away from all of this. When do we know it's time to walk away from a game? And the answer honestly depends entirely on you. I think it's important to understand what you are looking for when you play a game. What are you chasing? If it's to be competitive in a meta that seems to have left you in the dust, it's up to you to decide if it's worth your time to catch up and then keep up. Do you love the pursuit of getting better that much? Are you still playing that gacha game because you're afraid to miss out on the new content and feel like you have too much time and money invested? Or do you play because you adore the community, the characters, and the story that's swept you off your feet? Are you playing this because you want to understand the buzz, or are you playing this because you're genuinely captivated by your time with it? Is the victory worth what the game is putting you through? Are you still having fun on this playthrough, or are you just trying to recapture the wonder of your first steps in this world? Is it time to avert your gaze to let this flower wilt and go find a new horizon?
One nice thing about having an extremely busy schedule, you don't need to worry about this, because you don't have enough time to play video games to get completely like mentally stuck on just one. It's it all works out.
The answer is up to you, of course, and I think as I'm writing these closing lines, I'm realizing what this video has really been about. Letting go, knowing when to move on. And it's not lost on me how first world problem-y this sounds. You know, a man has crisis over when to stop playing games. I get it. I'm the same guy who made a video about having too much to play. Oh, poor me. But this is something that real people clearly deal with. And I think it speaks more to their nature as humans than it does to the games they play. What have you not let go of? What are you waiting on? Where is your sunk cost? What is your concord? Whatever it is, I hope you find what you're looking for soon, even if it means you have to look somewhere else.
That's so unnecessarily
So if you love
existential.
what you're playing, I hope you never hate it. And if you hate what you play, I hope you love hating it. Hey you, thanks
Okay.
for watching.
That was actually pretty interesting. That was a pretty good video. I like that. That was a good video. But yeah, no, that is it is important to understand when something that you're working on is basically pointless, and you should give up on it and try to approach it from a different, either just give up on it completely or try to approach it from a completely different perspective. But good video, very nice. Let's see, crap guide to Final Fantasy XIV. Magic DPS.
Do you believe in magic wearing a massive hat? It's a difficult skill and
No, you don't, Amico. You don't hate me. You like me. Okay? Let's not kid ourselves.
time consuming at that. And it's magic, the explodious kind. The best role to make your party go fully blind. I'll tell you about the magic if you insist I must, but if I stand in AoEs, then healers got to adjust.
Healers, why didn't you adjust?
Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
I don't play any of these shit classes, by the way.
The last group of the derps per Cirque's job is the magical range DPS, or just magic for short. Look at the hat, nothing up my sleeves.
Wait, let me see. What was this? A huge rod expels loads of man. Okay. Boogie Woogie Woogie knows unlicensed CPR. That is true. That is true. Some of them do. Black Mage doesn't. Black Mage doesn't know shit. Steps on a single cracker on the floor and dies. True. True. Healer robes but black. Kinda true.
Magical range DPS, or just magic for short. Look at the hat, nothing up my sleeves. You are the most important person in the party because when the going gets tough, a big hat is required, and the amount of damage you do is proportionally connected to the size of your brim. Where the melee
I mean, that's true. Having a big hat is pretty important. I do agree with that. That is correct.
The boss's farts and the range are shouting yo mama jokes while making love to the arena's boundaries. You are the healthy middle, standing your ground till you go down to Pound Town when you found the sound that makes the bad guys frown. You don't do as much damage on average as the melees, instead to trade it off for the utility of being able to attack at a range from anywhere in the arena, with one major difference from your physical range cousin, the cast bar. That little lightish red loading beam that you see just about every other main story quest when you have to search a suspicious bush or scout out for the next place Thancred will find yet another new color of depression. Most of your skills require you to stand perfectly still in order to have your big numbers to go off, and if you so much as special edition Han Solo your neck to get a better angle at your hot naked tank, your skill stops and everybody sees how you are no longer looking respectfully. Luckily, every single casting job usually has a lewd calendar's worth of tools to circumvent you having to staple your feet to the floor, which does mean in order to up your mobility without losing out on DPS, you'll need to learn the right sequence of buttons to press like you're playing a 7-dimensional accordion. That said, there's one universal trick to upping your mobility no matter the job, and that's the maneuver known as the slide casting. Though you normally have to wait for the entirety of the cast bar to complete, little known fact, once it reaches about 4/5 of the way through, you need no longer restrain your movements as though your feet were sweating Gorilla Glue, and you can afford a small amount of movement without losing possible uptime. Cool tip, this applies not only to the magic DPS, but any skill for any job that has a cast bar, so you can even be a sliding, slicing samurai. The magic limit break, similar to the range DPS, is an AoE that deals less base damage than the melees, but can hit multiple targets. In this case, a massive circle instead, and now you can make fun of the boss for not moving out of the obviously telegraphed danger puddle for a change. Boy, do I love throwing stones out of my glass house. The family of magic is made up of 3 siblings. Okay, that's a lie, it's actually 4, but the smallest one kind of went a weird career path, and they're not often invited to the New Year's parties. The Black Mage is a fantastic job if you're a fan of Cookie Clicker, because you're pressing the same button over and over again ad nauseum to see big number go brrrr. During rotation, you start out headbanging explosions at the bad guy like a... until you're completely out of mana. Then you go into a goth phase, where you chug a bunch of cold energy drinks, getting you back to peak performance where you can go back to... Although you have tools to keep yourself mobile like the other mages, you will often be the least dancy and find yourself pitching a tent like you just discovered the sniper tower on Rust. It also wins the award for having the... slowest leveling experience
It's the same shit every level.
ever. Next is a summoner who has gone through so many reworks that odds are by the time this video is published it'll have already been changed into a tank job with 4 dots and another job stone. You summon the dragon that nearly destroyed the world 5 years ago, which some may consider in poor taste if they happen to have a loved one's name written in the 7th Umbral Calamity Memorial Museum. And after you're done making them relive their trauma, get to double, triple, and quadruple down on using avatars of terror by summoning life-size copies of 3 monstrosities that killed a lot of innocent people. Chili Boy gives you slow casts and a gap closer. Thick Thigh Bird Woman drops a mildly uncomfortable breeze, and she, as well as Chicken Nugget, turns you into a physical range DPS, where you no longer have to worry about the cast bar anymore. Suck it, Black Mage. After you're finished offending the local countryside, you bring out a big Firebird that'll restore the party's health. Hey, if you're gonna make range DPS obsolete, might as well do the same for healers too, right? Lastly, the Red Mage, the most fashionable job. You steal gimmicks from everybody else like you're a YouTuber wanting to make more than minimum wage. You've got a heal like a White Mage, but a little bit less thick. You've got explosions like a Black Mage, but a little bit less... and you even get a backflip to your death like a Dragoon, but a little bit more sexy. In combat, you...
If I'm not totally wrong, Red Mage is like complete shit right now.
Between using black and white magic attacks in order to build up a mana gauge to spend slashing your sword with a whole lot of sexual tension, maybe lifting the enemy's chin with the tip of it, saying some threatening innuendo while you're at it. What makes you special, aside from the sick drip and stylish moves, is that after each spell you hardcast with a cast bar, any spell that follows is instant, meaning you only have to sit still about half of the time. Suck it, Black Mage. This also means you're even more efficient at raising down allies than the healer, since you have essentially infinite swift casts, and the only thing holding you back is the fact that rezzing the whole party will suck you dry like you're an anime boy with no eyes. Red Mage's limit break is also special in that it... Jungle Nuts! And now you know how to... Yeah, I didn't forget. I was just hoping that you had. Playing Blue Mage is only a portion of the Blue Mage experience. The rest of it is starting sentences involving the job with the words what about. Yes, though it may be classified in the magical range DPS category, blue is unique in the fact that 1. To Blue Mage is to suffer, and 2. It is considered a limited job, so it has to sit in the corner all by itself while the rest of the kids on the playground actually get to hang out. You are unable to play Blue Mage with the other jobs in most level synced and current content, especially high-end stuff like Savage Raids and ERP. Why is this? Because if it weren't, whoever's in charge of designing and balancing the elaborate and complex boss fights at Square Enix would probably be under suicide watch. The Blue Mage's unique power is that it can learn a ton of skills, spells, and abilities from the various enemies and bosses in the game, including but not limited to there's Ultra Vibration and Rose of Destruction and Sticky Tongue Snore Mustard Bomb, Abyssal Transfixion, Quasar Malediction of Water and Fire and Gone, Peculiar, Light Feather, Rain and Shock Strike, Song of Torment and Basic Instinct, Flying Frenzy and Lume, Acorn Bomb, Sonic Boom, Flying Sardine, J-Kid, Final Sting, Triple Trident and White Wind and Level 5 Petra, 5,000 Needles kinda sucks. There's Inkjet and Fates and Transfusion and Blaze, Shoko Meteor and Self-Destruct. And now you know how to play Magic. You're welcome.
Oh. Ah, I feel nauseous. uh. Oh. There's a reason why I don't need to buy the right big hat. Current crafted raid and tome shirts are recolors of the healer one. They're recolors of healers and not the other way around. It's worse than Summoner, I think. Don't quote me. I love Red Mage. Summoner has been good for the whole expansion. Very good, dance. Thank you. Very good. Okay. Let's see what else we have. You can also send me videos in Submit Funny. Hashtag Submit Funny if you wish to. Why you don't fight NPCs? Sent by Bear. It's only 2 minutes. This should be pretty quick.
Hello, adventurer, and welcome to my humble fruit shop. May I interest you in some bananas? They are on special.
Yeah, how much for 5 bananas?
For you, good hero, 2 gold.
Sweet.
Now, they are extra...
In dialogue.
Bit rude. Hello, adventurer, and welcome to my humble little fruit shop. May I interest you in some bananas?
Skip, I'll have 5 bananas.
I hadn't actually finished talking there. They are on special right now, so they're good
Skip,
for the...
how much?
Wow, this bit rude there. I guess I could part with my bananas for 4 gold.
Sweet.
Now, they are extra ripe.
Skip, in dialogue.
Everyone's a bit rude today, aren't they?
Oh, if we're going this far, I'm gonna need carrots for my horse. Oh, yes, actually, could you get me like 20? Yeah, sweet.
Oh, good, you're back. Hello, adventurer, and welcome to my humble little...
Skip, 50 carrots.
Oh, you are a rude little man, you know that. But I'm sure I can rustle up some carrots for you. Let me just check in with my darling wife, Freda.
What? No, skip. Just give me carrots.
So can I be honest with you for a minute? You're actually starting to piss me off here a little bit.
Oh my God, what is with NPCs in this town? Just hurry up.
I might be just a humble little fruit merchant to you, but I still have some dignity left on
Pretty sure carrot isn't a
Why don't you
fruit.
go find your carrots
And bananas are
somewhere
berries.
else?
Oh God, I don't have time for this. Either give me carrots or I'm going to take them.
You wouldn't, dear.
Kind of weird that he's a fruit merchant when he
Wouldn't I?
doesn't have any fruit.
Try it.
Actually, I wouldn't do that. What? Why? I don't care about my reputation. No, I'm not even talking about your reputation. Honestly, these NPCs are way stronger than you think.
This guy, the fruit stall owner from Honeywood.
Seriously? I guarantee you he's stronger than you think.
Dude, I'm level 60. I've fought armies of orcs. I'm pretty sure I can take this bitch.
I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't do it.
Well, now I'm curious.
Shit.
You attacked me.
Yeah, how does that feel?
Die, mother!
Oh, shit.
Are you with him?
No, I'm not. He's.
Are you with?
I don't know. No.
You want some fruit?
No, I'm fine. No, it's all good.
Fresh nays.
No, that's fine.
Just keep walking unless you're hungry.
Oh, you're looking cold there.
There's actually a fucking if anyone in chat has ever played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, especially the older games, I don't know about the newer games, But in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, it's like a random generated dungeon crawler where you have Pokemon and they go into dungeons and they're very, very mysterious. They actually usually have pretty good stories, especially the Time and Darkness / Sky. They're very, very touching and good. But there's this Kecleon. It's a Pokemon. It's like a chameleon Pokemon. And Kecleon is a shopkeeper. And sometimes in the random generated dungeons, especially like the end game ones, there is a random chance for a Kecleon shop to appear, where it's just like one of the dungeon rooms. Let's see if I can find a picture of this. These are some newer ones. I want the old one. This one. Yeah. It looks like this. There are these tiles on the floor. Let me make this a little bigger for you guys. There are these tiles on the floor, and then the Kecleon has like a randomly generated supply of items that it has there. And the thing is that you can walk onto this, and then you can pick up the item. And then when you walk out of the area, the Kecleon is going to teleport next to you and be like, hey, I see you picked up one of my items. That's going to be this and this much. And then you have the choice of either paying for it or not paying for it. And if you choose to not pay for it, you can still return it to the carpet if you want to. Or alternatively, you can start running away and the Kecleon starts screaming, thief, thief, go fuck him, boys! And then like a billion Kecleon that are all level 99 spawn all over the map. They move at like quadruple speed compared to you, and they like insta-kill you by just looking at you kind of bad. And there's like a massive amount of them everywhere, and they just approach from every fucking direction. And you just get absolutely fucked. However, you can actually, like for example, if it happens to spawn like the exit very close to the Kecleon shop, if you happen to like run away and then go to an exit, then the next floor is going to be neutral again. The Kecleons don't follow you through floors. And also, if you are you have a very, very strong character, you can also kill them, which is necessary if you want to complete the Pokédex in the game, because you have to beat up the Pokemon to have them become your friends. So the only way to get Kecleon is to bait them to attack you and then beat the shit out of them. Because that's how friends are made in the world of Pokemon. Very good. I destroyed the oldest world record in Final Fantasy XIV.
Final Fantasy.
Okay, I see we have a Popoto. This is the tower running speedrun, I think.
14 is very popular for various reasons.
These edits on these videos are fucking insane, by the way. Like, holy fucking shit, they are wild. Also, good Lalafell. Good Lalafell. Very good. Always Lalafell.
During its 500 hours of life-changing story, you meet amazing characters, become a little bit bisexual, and go to some rather cool cities. And one of these cities is Kugane. Home to the Kugane Tower and its infamous jumping puzzle.
I wonder how this is even shot.
On our first visit to Kugane, it is traditional.
Okay, this is shot in some external thing. I'm guessing it's like a 3D modeling software where they've somehow extracted all the models and they've put them in here somehow.
To climb the tower. For some people, it takes only minutes to beat, and others simply give up and still haven't completed it to this day. And yes, their parents are very disappointed in them. The tower features several jumps where falling completely resets your progress. And as you rapidly descend towards the ground, your friends will be watching. And that is where I come in. As Heavensward had just finished ripping my heart out of my chest, I was ready to start Stormblood and arrive at Kugane. I've heard stories of this place. I'd hear my friends complaining about the tower and how hard it was. The dog in me was ready for a real challenge, and I would sniff it out. No matter
The only unfortunate thing about Pint is that they're a Planesfolk instead of a Dunesfolk. Dunesfolk are automatically cuter because they're evil.
cost. My first climb took me 16 minutes. A pretty respectable time. I was satisfied and confident that I was in fact good at video games, and that someday a girl might talk to me. As all the other streamers took over 16 minutes, here I was.
Hey, it only took this guy 15 minutes.
Oh, well, that's fine. It wasn't fine. Hearing my chat say this lit a flame in my heart. I am a very competitive person, and I could not let myself get bested by the likes of a live streamer. So the next day, I climbed the tower in 4 minutes. Are you happy now, Twitch chat? Hey, Twitch chat, where'd you get those cool clothes, by the way?
God, these edits are fucking insane. Like, I can't. Like, the fact that it's a Lalafell and Lalafell are so fucking cute, and then it's edited this well, it's just like eye porn. I fucking love cute things, okay? And when it's like well edited, it's like watching a Lalafell anime. Very good. I like this. I like this a lot.
We got them from pint.gg, link in the description. However, I didn't stop there. I wanted to go even further.
Go check out what kind of merch does Pint have. Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good. I should make stickers for Toxic Lalafell Mae-mae as well.
Which is where this gets interesting, because that is when I searched the world record. There is no speedrun.com listing for Kugane Tower. Just a billion dungeon speedruns no one cares about. But there is YouTube, and that is where I found him. 5 long years ago, there was one man who dominated Kugane Tower. His name was Mae-mae. 3 days after the release of Stormblood, he set the world record at just under a minute. And then, over the course of only a single month, he lowered the world record to 43.58 seconds. A time that has never been broken since. I could find nothing to contest this time, not even close. Mae-mae was the undefeated champion since the tower's release. In those 30 days, he set a record that would stand for 5 years.
Until now.
This is unacceptable. How could the world record be held by a male Aura? The worst race
True.
in the game.
True!
No, this title belonged to a little guy, to Lally Ho, and Lally show the world how it's done. This is what people should see when they think Queen of Kugane Tower! And so I set out to go where none had gone before, not even him. And so I began my research, during which I came to a shocking revelation. One that would have the entire community in pitchforks against me. A truth that would revel.
Wait, what is that? What is that emote? The one where you're writing on a paper notebook. Is that an emote? Is that an actual emote?
research, during which
I don't think that's an actual emote, is it?
I came to a shocking revelation.
No, that's a custom animation. So what I'm thinking how this is made is essentially they've extracted all of the models from Final Fantasy XIV, and they've extracted some of the animations with the rigs of the models. So essentially they can mix and match animations straight from the game and then custom animations alongside it.
One that would have the entire community
Yes, I know.
against me. A truth that would render the hearts of every streamer broken and sundered. The infamous Kugane Tower. That dastardly Kugane Tower that gripped so many poor souls with fear. Is kind of easy. So maybe streamers are just throwing for content. But between you and me, this tower is a little baby tower. The start is pretty fucking annoying, but after a while you can kind of do it without thinking, but it still is annoying to fall. I hate it. This is the worst part. The part after is so easy, even my kitten could do it. Ow. Peg wall beta. Might give you some trouble, but the jumps have very little variance and can kind of be cheesed. On the top is the dreaded roof, which is just kind of weird sometimes. After that, there's Peg Wall Mini, which is for babies. Look at how easy this is. After that, the run starts to get a little more quirky. Peg Wall Alpha. Possibly the hardest part of the run, and where most of my runs ended. The peculiar spacing of the pegs. The invisible walls all over the fucking place. And clearing this brings you to the Shrimbly-Bimbly section. Fuck it, that's what I'm calling this part. Here, a single misplaced jump will send you to the bottom. And while it looks rather scary, the jumps are actually pretty easy. And this will take you to the balcony of hope, where you need to quickly make a single tricky jump, risking it all, hoping that you don't bump into this wall. Until the rooftop of the heavens. A place only gods can know. You are safe now, and with some forgiving geometry, you are left staring at the clock as you complete some final, simple jumps. And if I could perfect all this, I could complete the tower consistently and quickly. And if I could do that live on stream, then thousands of people would be dazzled, marveled even, by my nimble feet and pure finesse. So now I just needed to break the undefeated 5-year-old record. And luckily, I had a trump card. Dancer and
I'd also played female dwarf in World of Warcraft because before Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, but there's nothing cute in World of Warcraft. So it completely doesn't interest me at all. I just... Lalafell though.
Reaper. Two classes that weren't in the game 5 years ago. In fact, Reaper was only added to the game earlier that week, and both classes allow me to dash. Epic Celeste reference. It wouldn't trivialize the run, but it would shave off a couple seconds. But horizontal movement only gets you so far, because a lot of the run is about going up the tower and not fucking across it, idiot. To jump good, you have to sort of angle yourself into the wall. Depending on the angle, your jump will be shorter. And that was it. No other tricks to improve the run. The rest would have to come down to pure skill. And so more prepared than my previous attempts, I climbed. And it paid off quickly. In my first hour, I got a time of 1 minute 28 seconds. By the second hour, it was 1 minute 05. 22 seconds away from the record. Progress was fast, and I was committed. I was starting to think this whole world record thing might just be obtainable. After all, it only took this random guy a month to set a record. How hard could it be? Endwalker. Arguably the best piece of content in Final Fantasy history, and it was released 5 days ago. While my friends explored new worlds, I was here, climbing. Random people watching as I would ascend the tower, only to fall again. I was like a cryptid, saying nothing, just climbing. And yet, my best time was still 1 minute 05. But I kept pushing, because each run it was abundantly clear that I had messed up. So if I simply didn't fail, I would have a personal record. But after almost a week of solid grinding, I finally made some progress. 59 seconds. My first sub-minute run. But I figured before the 4th day was up, I could do better. But I needed to put my mind at ease if I really wanted a perfect run. So, I closed my eyes and imagined this video's sponsor, the Poggers free-to-play action game War Thunder. One of my favorite free-to-play games available on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Mac. Well, this run's already amazing.
I like how everyone always says that, oh yeah, I fucking love this. I played all the time. I'm totally not like spending 90% of my life running up the Kugani Tower. No, I'm spending it playing War Thunder. I'm gonna lie to you guys as well if I ever get sponsored by War Thunder. Wink, War Thunder. Wink. Please sponsor me. I will tell my audience that I fucking play the game all the time, even though I don't. I've never even touched it, and I never will again, unless you give me more money.
Thanks, War Thunder. War Thunder includes vehicles from 10 nations, such as Great Britain,
Yeah, but does it include Lalafell, though?
Germany, Japan, China, France, Italy, Sweden, Israel, and most importantly, Great Britain. Oh my god. Is that a variety of land, sea, and air vehicles that you can play as in War Thunder? Wow, there's so many different kinds. Wait a minute. Is that the brand new French fleet from the latest update? Led by the battleship Paris, the legendary BTR-80, and the SU-39? Oh, right, the speedrun. In the past, I struggled with Pegwall Alpha, but now I've improved significantly. Just like War Thunder's graphics have improved significantly this update, making fights far more realistic. Oh no, the scrimbly-bimbly section. What if I fall? Well, looks like I'm gonna need some backup. Well, if it isn't my old friend, the Tornado F3 fighter jet. Yippee! If you download War Thunder for the first time for free, you'll receive 100k Silver Lions, a week to rent the legendary German ground vehicles, 3 permanent premium vehicles, XP boosters, a week of premium account, and some other bonuses. Check them out quickly in the description because the season of German gifts will end very soon. Wow, that was my best time yet. Thank you, Tornado F3 fighter jet. I'll always remember you.
God damn.
I had done it. A run with no falling. My best time yet. 53 seconds. 10 seconds away from the world record.
Uh-oh.
I should be proud. But that night I tucked myself into bed defeated. It took days to get here. I made no major errors, but I was still so far from the world record. My mechanical skill just wasn't comparable. The way Emo would float up the tower like a majestic butterfly. Oh, the way he moves. Perhaps I couldn't beat the record after all. Or perhaps I just needed some sleep. I decided to show my time to my stream. And as if overnight, I became a sensation. The world was flocking to my incredible Kugane Tower run. Guys, it's not a big deal. Okay, one more time. Most people had never seen a Kugane speedrun. To them, I was the world record. People would be talking about the tower and then be talking about me. They didn't care about Emo Otacon or his antics. I was praised as the guy who does Kugane Tower really fast. But, as it does, my glory faded into obscurity as the next big thing came and went. The story of Pint and Kugane Tower forgotten. And I moved on. Or at least, that's what the world thought. In truth, I continued running Kugane Tower for days. But no matter how much time I put in, I couldn't get faster. I was simply not good enough. And so, I stepped down. And yet... there was still a fire burning within me.
This is exactly the look fucking like the thing that we just watched, like the fucking sunk cost fallacy or whatever. Why do we return to things that we hate?
Me was still ravenous. I needed to be better. So first, I needed strength. I still had jobs that were underleveled. So if I leveled Dancer to max level, I could dash twice more. I needed spirit. This was going to take time. I needed to make sure my mind was balanced. I smelled the flowers. I raided with friends. I snuggled up tight with my Ishtola body pillow to soothe my mind between runs. I needed strategy. Sun Tzu once said, "If you know thy enemy, use thy enemy's camera settings." I mimicked Emo's strategies to figure out why he used them. And as it turns out, jumps like this are actually easier with Legacy Camera. Using standard camera means you have to take a very tight jump around a corner blind. But Legacy allowed you to angle your camera and simply swoop around the corner really easy. However, I would end up being partly wrong about Emo's strategies. Speaking of which, I believe it's a good time to bring up a bit of dirt I got on all Emo here. Roll the tape. Okay, very nice. Clean. And stop. There. Back when Emo set the record, ninjas could only teleport to other players. That was later changed, and now ninjas can teleport anywhere they want. Even right behind you. Is using an alt cheating? Maybe. But as the gracious and very attractive famous YouTuber that I am, I shall overlook this transgression. But it does get you wondering, how is a man so dedicated that he makes an alt for this? Or at least gets a friend to stand there? With a brief look in the comments, he says it took 6 hours over 2 weeks to get his time. I've spent a bit longer than that, so is he just a natural talent? Perhaps he had experience in speedrunning before. Wait a minute. Who is this guy? Stop. I quit climbing, remember? All of this was just an idea, a plan, that I would surely get around to someday. Alas, I stepped away, and then months passed. I beat Stormblood. I beat Shadowbringers. The video took so long to make, I finished Endwalker now. Script says I got laid. Real zinger there, Script Pint. Very funny. I think I even convinced myself I had given up. Would it even be that good of a video? It probably wouldn't be worth the effort. There's probably a reason it's been standing for 5 years. And that reason might well be that simply no one cares about Kagane, and that I could live my life letting Emo have his record. Other videos, other accomplishments. That is where I found comfort. Every now and then I'd go back. I would develop the best possible strategies for each section of the run. The perfect camera angles, the perfect jumps. Ready to take on the tower again, before inevitably quitting once more. I don't know what would really get me back on Kagane Tower. I don't know if I ever will. And so the dream died, and I forgot. The Moonfire Fair. A seasonal event that every year adds a new item and a questline. But this year, it also added the Moonfire Tower, a jumping puzzle only available for the duration of the event. The tower was last added 3 years ago, in 2019. And of course, in 2019, Emo Otakon got the world record. So in the spirit of my old rival, I thought it prudent to give it a try. The tower was tough, but I wasn't going for a world record. I just wanted a tweet that people would like. And like it, they did. Even Soken, the game's composer, liked the tweet. But there was a bigger player about to enter the scene. A player from Japan, known simply as Strawberry Cheese Tart. On August 19th, 2022, she broke the world record.
Ah, fuck, strawberry cheese tart. That's like the first thing I always think of, like when I think of like, oh, like some like badass person is gonna walk into the room. Strawberry cheese. They're even fucking. Their name is like a tongue twister. Strawberry cheese tart. Very powerful name.
Record by over 4 seconds. Her run of the tower was damn near flawless. But hardly anyone knows, for the only proof is a tweet with 100 likes. But she still did something great, even if the world didn't know. At least I did. For the first time in years, an Emo Otakon record was broken. She proved that gods can bleed. But I still had one question. How did this guy come out of nowhere and have all these records? No. Who is this guy? Who is Emo Otakon? Emo hasn't streamed in 5 years. I wanted to see if I could find any clips of him progressing the tower. But all I could find is some clips of him being very good at Super Mario Odyssey. And this clip with 2 names. One being the party member and the other him.
Over the years in speedrunning, sometimes the greatest speedrunners are completely forgotten about, as is the case with Pydoix, who was one of, if not the best Ocarina of Time speedrunner of his time, before he mysteriously
With these fucking plot twists. What a fucking nonsense video. This is very good. This is such fucking horse shit. But it's the best kind of horse shit.
vanished. You may have also known Pydo as Shaden, a legendary Mario Odyssey speedrunner who dominated the game for months, leaving his competition in the dust before vanishing once more. Who was this guy? What made him so special? And why did such an incredible speedrunner suddenly disappear and let himself slowly be forgotten over time?
So this is who I was dealing with. My rival was a long-lost speedrunning legend. A previous world record holder of Super Mario Odyssey and Ocarina of Time. And everything clicked. His camera was weird because he's using a controller. His times were so good because he's a prodigy with 11 years of speedrunning experience to boot. But perhaps the most curious thing about Pydoix is why he runs. He cares not for fame or glory. He does it for the passion of challenge, for the joy of breaking limits. And upon reflection I considered, perhaps I was too focused on beating him, so concerned with comparing myself to someone better than me, that I had become so sure that I didn't have what it took to beat him. And so on an early autumn morning, I told him, I will beat this. And after 3 years of silence, he responded. And I started climbing again. But this wasn't like before. Something had changed. It was different. This time, I was watching Season 7 of Better Call Saul, and over the past few months, this old dog learned some tricks. I found more efficient spots to use my dashes and included Ninja's Blink. Blink here into Reaper Dash, use Peloton for a crumb of extra movement speed, dash here, and swap jobs to remove Peloton. Peloton again here, and remove it again here. Dash on the balcony, and then finally on the roof. This is the most efficient route for Kugane Tower, so now all that's left is to master it. And guess what I did on my first day back? 52 seconds. A new personal best. I was back. The next day I climbed again. All that I needed was a perfect run. It had been a week now, and I still didn't have a time better than 49 seconds. I was playing more reckless, taking every corner as fast as I could.
This is exactly the kind of horseshit that Lalafell players put effort into. Very good representing Lalafell.
And so at times, I fell. But I figured I'd need practice at the higher sections. So I didn't reset. I kept going. And despite falling during this run, 45 seconds. I was just over 2 seconds away from Emo. At this point, any run could be the one. I knew what a good run felt like. I could sense it. The start, each peg wall, and the scrimbly-bimbly section. I did them perfectly. If I make this jump, this could really be it. Could this be the run? I jumped too soon. 173 seconds.
So close.
15 milliseconds.
Like, I've never done speedrunning. Kind of. Right? In PSO2, there is a thing called endless quests, and they're essentially a speedrun category within the game, where you get score, and depending on how far you get into the quest, your score increases and the difficulty of the quests that you are provided with increases. And it is a fucking nightmare when you're playing on the Japanese servers from Europe, because the game calculates the time even during loading screens, which is a very, very bizarre choice. So I remember having a moment like this, where I was, so there's this title. There are two titles that you can get from doing this shit, and they are pretty much like the most prestigious titles in the game, I guess. They're like, how would I compare them in Final Fantasy? I guess they're like Necromancer and I guess like Alpha Legend or something like that. Essentially, they're like the titles that no one has. And back when I was still playing PSO2 quite actively, I was very determined to get one of these two titles, because they're basically just two different sides of the same coin. There's two different quests that you can get these titles from, and they are quite similar in how they are, just as miserable. And it was a terrible time, because there's an element of RNG to it, where it basically throws random sort of quests at you with specific like criteria for getting some time back and stuff like that. And some quests were just worse than others, and you had to get a specific score to get these titles, and the score was very, very cruel, especially for someone who loses 10 seconds during every like loading screen. And I had multiple times, so I grinded this for I think 2 weeks, like basically playing like 7 to 8 hours every day. Probably the most I've ever grinded in a game for a specific like difficult achievement kind of thing. I'm not gonna count the whole egg fishing thing, because it's not really based on skill at all, unlike this. So I had so many times when I was like right before getting the title, and I have like 30 seconds left, and then the game RNGs me a room that I cannot clear in 30 seconds. And I remember feeling like crying. I remember like punching my own legs, leaving a bruise because of how frustrated I was with like getting fucked by the RNG in that way. It was miserable. It was absolutely miserable. And when I did actually get it, which I did get the title. I remember I went, it was in the middle of the winter. It was like a December, it was, I think, December, like right before the whole COVID thing started or something like that. No, it must have been earlier than that. But it was in December anyway. It was like close to Christmas time. I remember running outside and going running, which is not something I do because of how happy I was for clearing it. Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's not something that I can really like. Nobody really plays PSO2 anymore, and also people don't really understand the value of it, because when you play it, especially so the content that it was made for was in episode 5, and there was an episode 6. So if you had an episode 6 character and you went to do it, you were very, very overpowered for it. However, people don't sort of understand what bad latency does to that quest, because most people these days play the international version of the game, so they didn't have to deal with that shit in the first place. It was basically like playing the quest on like a less difficult version of it, because you are not penalized every single loading screen for just having to connect all the way to Japan from. I mean, obviously it's my fault for playing a game that I wasn't supposed to play in the first place, because you're not supposed to play the Japanese version if you're not in Japan. But there was a lot of pride in this title for me, because I was basically playing against all odds and I was still able to clear it. And God, was I fucking proud of it. I remember this is one of the worst stages. This right here. This is one of the worst stages right here. And I remember getting it after I got the score for the title. And I remember like doing this emote and being like do your worst. There's nothing you can do to hurt me anymore. I have already gotten everything I wanted from here. And I felt so satisfied when I went to the title counter, and it's probably like right next to this one, right? Let's see, how do you click on there? And then I got the title, and I was like, oh, I'm a fucking gamer. I was so fucking proud of myself. Even though the title is very cringe and I never wore it. But like, fucking hell. I got it. This was definitely, it was a very different kind of gameplay. It's because this quest is mostly mobbing. Whereas when you guys remember when we did Primordial Darkness, it was bossing, which I've done both now. I'm good. I have beaten soloed Primordial Darkness as well, which is something that not a whole lot of people have done. I'm pretty sure I'm the only VTuber who has ever soloed Primordial Darkness. But Forever Loner was something that was much more similar to this, and I had so many moments like this, and it was super, super frustrating. I can totally relate here.
Away.
It really
I was
hurts.
so close. I was so close. Do you really think I would quit?
This was not my feeling when I was there. Mostly, well, in here it's a little bit different because this is purely like skill based, right? In PSO2, the game could basically cock you with RNG.
Right here, right now. No frickin' way, hombre. This was not a failure. This was confirmation that I could really do it. Now all I had to do was finish this. I grinded, I ground, and I grunned. 6 full hours I farmed until my body was tired, but my mind was also tired. I really wanted to go to bed. But it was all leading up to
Mood.
this. Emo, Strawberry, Pint, and Kugane Tower. Finally, I would have a world record, and all of my training would pay off. One more time. I frolicked up the start and cleanly dashed across the roof. Then I scuttled on up to the top of Pegwall Beta and clipped the invisible wall. No! But I could still do it. I lost some time to this, but I gained some with my new strategies. So for this to work, I'd have to play beyond perfectly for the rest of the run. Pegwall Mini was a breeze, and Pegwall Alpha fell soon after. I cut through the scrimbly bimbly section like butter. This was the cleanest I ever did these sections, but one section still remained.
You know, I bet because of this video that has 500,000 views, there's probably a lot more competition for this title right now, like the title of who's the fastest to get to the top of Kugane Tower. I'm sure he came back and beat it by 5 seconds, but I would expect that it's probably been beaten by someone else already.
Balcony of Hope.
Because when there's a lot of attention to something like this, there's a lot more competition all of a sudden as well.
Emoticon was defeated. And I can finally put this tower behind me.
You can't really call it
Yes,
destroyed unless
the
you
run wasn't perfect.
destroyed it.
I made mistakes.
So I'm assuming
and it
they're
could
gonna
certainly be
try
broken
again, right?
But for now, I was the one who dethroned Pydoix. I rule this tower, and my record is yours. If you can take it, show me what you're made of.
I was assuming that it's gonna be like, oh, but I wasn't satisfied with this because the run was imperfect. So I'm gonna do it even faster. But I guess not.
Oh, hey, why don't you head on over to pint.gg and get yourself a t-shirt or stickers or something. I worked really hard to make the clothes actually good, and if you buy one, maybe I'll make a plushie.
Yeah,
as long as
yeah, I know.
There's no jars involved. Also, I'm playing FF16 on Twitch. Okay, love you, bye.
Yeah, that is I wonder if the Emoticon's record has already been beaten. Because it's easy to get world records in categories that are complete nonsense, right? Because there's not a lot of competition. But then when it just so happens that a famous streamer or a YouTuber makes a video about it becoming a world record holder, suddenly there's a massive amount more eyes on the subject matter, and with more eyes comes more interest, and with more interest comes more competition. So I don't know, I wonder what the record is right now. Let's actually Google this. Kugane Tower world record is what's right now. Yeah, no, it reads former world record. Yeah, Emoticon is already at 38 seconds, which is kind of cruel, which makes sense. There's no speedrun category for this, which is unfortunate. But that's kind of fucking funny though. That was a good video. No, we're not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna react to Asmongold's reaction, okay? We're not gonna watch that. But that was a good video. I enjoyed that. Very good. Yeah, and then here's the here's the motherfucker wearing the stupid elephant outfit as if to clown on Pint. Not even a Lullafell. What heresy. Those jumps look a lot more perilous when you're like 90 centimeters tall. That was pretty flawless. It didn't take them a whole lot either. Smooth jumping. The first go. Very good. And I guess they got 250,000 views for that, which is probably the most that they've ever seen on their channel on anything. Yeah, yeah. They have nothing that is not related to Kugane or Final Fantasy jumping puzzles. That is over 100k, but then this one has 250,000, which is I love the duality of Pint releasing a highly edited 25-minute video essay for his record, all for it to become invalid a few hours later by a 40-second of raw in-game footage. Destruction. 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 Very good. Very good. Time to start the grind again. Yes, but it was good content for Pint, and it was good exposure for Emoticon. So that's good. That's good. It's nice to see that Emoticon is still here too, despite the fact that they're not so active in the speedrunning circles anymore. But they still got it, I guess. They still got it. But yeah, very, very good. That was a good video. Jump perfectly from the... Oh, that's the only way to get there? Oh, that's pretty wild. Okay. But yeah, no, that was a good jumping puzzle. Very good. Very good video. We have 20 minutes of time left. Are there any videos you guys would want me to look at, or are we good for the night? Send me something and submit funny if you wish to show me something, or wish to have me look at something that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be funny, it can just be interesting as well. But that was a pretty good video. It was a pretty good video. Let me get this there we go, so that we don't have complete silence here. But pretty good, pretty good. Very nice. Very nice. But that honestly makes me want to play Final Fantasy XIV. I can't. I have work. I just got myself a house and I want to start showing it some love. But I can't because I have work. And I have to focus on that. That's gonna be my first priority. And from the looks of it, like my weekend is probably gonna be burnt mostly in the Criterion dungeon. so we'll see. But yeah, but that was very good. That was very good. It's a very nice how the videos are edited, and the fact that it's a Lalafell makes it a lot better. Very good. Very good. High effort videos of high quality. Very nice, very nice. Oh yeah, tomorrow, if you haven't been invited yet and you wish to join Yasu's and Amiko's meme wedding, feel free to do so. Let them know and you will be getting your invite. The wedding will happen at 10 p.m. tomorrow, so 30 minutes after stream starts, and it's gonna be on Lich. And we're gonna stream the wedding. Not gonna provide any special procedures because this is a wedding for only financial benefit or something like that. But it's gonna be funny at least to see a fucking grown-ass man kissing a Lalafell. So it's gonna be kind of weird. Where's my fucking police glamour when I need it? Well, I don't really have any money right now. I literally got 200,000 gil on me because I wasted 21 million on my house. We aren't going. What do you mean, bruh? Come on. Actually, it's a true love. Yeah, there's a very one-sided love here. I can't wait to hear it on the news that there's like some kind of like murder suicide thing happening because Amico just loves the money that you provide him, and you love Amico. I can't wait to see how this goes. And then after that, we're gonna do the nightclub review as usual. We're gonna go see some funny nightclubs. No, we're not gonna ERP yet. That's not happening for a while because I am poor as shit. I can't afford horny right now in Final Fantasy. I can't even afford walls to my house. So so yeah. And the walls that I want cost 2.4 million. So fuck. So there's a lot of financial things that I need to purchase before I start purchasing Final Fantasy 14 prostitutes. So we're just gonna go around, check some nightclubs, review them, and go laugh at Amico's and Yerso's wedding, I guess. Let's see. Any videos in here? No. Well, with that in mind then, I actually do still have a shitload of work today, and I am very, very tired. So I should go do that. I'll probably go do that. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in Final Fantasy, in the name of Nightclub Reviewing and Yersus and Amico's wedding. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys then there. If you need me for anything, just hit me up on Discord. I'll be working, so I'm gonna be a little bit busy, so I can't really chat a whole lot, but I will be available if something important pops up. So anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a good giggle with some of these videos, and it was nice to have like a small break, I guess, in the middle of all this rushing, work. So yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye, yo.